All right, time to go to the phones. First up tonight, our good friend Trey in West Blockton. Trey, what's going on?
Hey, how y'all doing?
Doing well.
Yeah, I was wondering about Anthony Grant and how the recruiting's going. I know we just got 2 huge pickups from in-state guys, and I think number 32 and 97 respectively, and I know in the rivals rankings. But, you know, the talent for 2011 in-state seems to be pretty strong, and that's kind of an aberration really for our state, which, you know, considering that, I think to become a national force on the national scene, we're going to have to, you know, go outside the lines and get some of the top prospects from other states, which makes me wonder about Florida, given Anthony Grant's connections down there and the part he played in building, you know, those back-to-back national championship teams. I was just wondering how he's doing on that front in terms of some of the Sunshine State's top guys.
Well, Trey, he's going to recruit the state of Florida. He signed a player from there this past recruiting class, Charles Hankerson, a shooting guard from down there in South Florida where his roots run deep. And you can bet that Florida is going to be a prime state in basketball recruiting terms for Anthony Grant. But as you said, the upcoming year is a good year for recruits in-state. There was a lot of talk about the fact that Anthony Grant had not signed anybody in state. Now he got 2 commitments, as you mentioned last week, from 2 top 100 players, including, of course, Levi Randolph, who is a top 30 type player from there at Bob Jones High School in Madison. So I think the focus might be on in-state, at least right now, because there's a couple of other really good prospects out there. But you can bet Florida will be a place where Anthony Grant spends a lot of his time on the recruiting trail. Let's go back to the phones and talk with CB in Tuscaloosa. CB, what's going on, my man?
Fired up this fast pitch softball and baseball. I tell you, I don't see how a young recruit could turn a red jersey down or no kind out of him, but it's great to be from Alabama. Winning gets it all.
All right, CB, you're right. Football wins an SEC championship. Let's see. Women's golf won an SEC championship. Gymnastics won an SEC championship. I hope I'm not leaving anybody else. Men's cross country an SEC championship. But the overall SEC sports standings that have been released, Alabama is 8th. So that tells you that there is still plenty of room for an improvement. Some of the programs this past year did not do well. There was, you know, a few last place finishes, which hurt. But overall, I agree with you, CB. Things are going in a good direction. But I know the athletic officials at Alabama want to finish higher than 8th in that all-sports trophy in the SEC.
And I want to go back to what Trey said for a minute. You know, you're talking about recruiting on a national level. Well, you know, to be quite honest with you, Nick Saban didn't just walk in and start recruiting on a national level. First of all, he's going to have success in the state. Gary mentioned that. And then you've got to have success on the court to attract those guys from the state of Florida that are being recruited by numerous schools. So I think once he establishes his program, starts having success on the court, then I think you start attracting guys from everywhere.
All right. Thanks for the phone calls. We got to get an email in. This is from Paul in Tuscaloosa. Why is the women's basketball program awful? Well, Paul, they're trying to get it going in the right direction. And, you know, and there's no need to sugarcoat it. It has been bad, and there are a number of reasons for that. You had a highly successful coach here for a long time that did very, very well. When he left, the coaching hire that was made, Stephanie Smith, really struggled. She struggled to win games. She struggled in recruiting and left the program, you know, not in good shape. Wendell Hudson has taken over. Toward the end of the season, they made a lot of improvement. They won some games. They got in the SEC tournament and had a pretty good showing. We're competitive, and he has had a really good recruiting class that he's going to have coming in. So I think they're headed in the right direction, but obviously there is plenty of room for improvement in women's basketball.
Once again, you mentioned the recruiting class, Gary, and certainly I think that's going to play a key role, and you have to give him a little bit of time to develop that.
Yeah, when Rick Moody got here, it took him a little while before he really built the big-time program, but he did, and Wendell Hudson is going to have an opportunity to do the same. All right, let's go to Fayette and talk with Gary.
Yeah.
Gary, you're on. Go ahead.
Yes, I just want to know what the recruiting status of Isaiah Crowell is.
Of who?
Isaiah Crowell out of Georgia.
Okay, Ryan, what's up, Daniel Crowell, the running back?
Interesting that you mentioned that, Gary, because last night we talked to Isaiah Crowell, the great running back from Columbus Carver over in Georgia, and that Alabama and Georgia are nip and tuck. And, you know, I think Alabama has an excellent shot with Isaiah, but again, he did grow up in the state of Georgia. He did grow up as somewhat of a fan of Georgia, so I think Alabama will have a battle on their hands. I think Alabama's offense fits him extremely well, and I think, you know, he'll have an opportunity to come in and be the type of running back that Nick Saban likes in his program.
All right, Gary, hope that helps you out. Real quickly, let's try to talk to Tavares in Birmingham. Tavares, go ahead, my friend.
All right, guys. I want to talk about the quarterback situation for this year's recruitment. I know we got there's Bubba Starling out of Kansas and Cody Parkey, I think his name, and the guy out of Huber Heights, Ohio. How are we standing with those guys?
Well, first of all, when you look around at the recruiting, there's several guys Alabama's in on. You mentioned a few there, and we'll see what happens with Bubba Starling. I think he really likes Alabama quite a bit. Nebraska and Notre Dame have been involved, and I think probably he would possibly be the #1 choice at this point. But again, we'll have to see if Alabama takes a quarterback. And then you have Cody Kessler out of California, Braxton Miller out of Ohio, though I think he'll end up at Ohio State. You've got Teddy Bridgewater down in Florida, just to name a few. And again, these camps may unveil someone that maybe Alabama has not offered at this point. So we'll see what happens.
All right, we got to take a timeout. We'll be back after this. And finally, Alabama's first and only Heisman Trophy winner was back in his hometown over the weekend. Mark Ingram's name is now part of Atwood Stadium in Flint, Michigan, where he played a lot of his high school football. Hundreds of people turned out for the ceremony. Ingram told the crowd it was good to be home and told reporters winning the Heisman and winning the national championship is such incredible stuff that it really still hasn't all sunk in.
Great athletes to come from the city of Flint.
I know that it happened, but it's like it hasn't really hit me yet. I think like when I probably get a little older, probably. But like I remember we won the national championship Thursday, and like on Monday, Coach Saban was like, "Okay, it's time to move on." People were congratulating me, and but at the same time, I don't think it's really hit me yet. But I really am excited that I did win both of them.
And come see us at Buddy's. We're headed there for dinner. Have a good night, everybody.